Hello and welcome to the third installment of the Privacy by Design series on devsbuild.it, where we're going to talk about digital identities. First, let's go through the agenda where we're going to look to understand a little bit more about what we're hoping to cover over the next couple minutes. First, we want to talk about what exactly is a digital identity and what does it mean to have single sign-on. Then we'll start to look at some of the features and opportunities that different service providers provide. Then we'll look at what data is collected and how you as a developer can better use the data. Next, we'll look at the safety and security issues that come with using a third-party identification. And fourth, we'll look a little bit more at exactly how a single sign-on works and what the providers are that are actually able to manage this for you, that are able to build better and more personalized experiences. Before we go any further, I feel like this is a good time to introduce myself. My name is Dan Nelson, and to introduce myself, I've used my Facebook profile, which serves for many of us as the digital identity of choice. Every time you log on with a sign in with Facebook button, this is the information that's sent over via Facebook to that provider. And I like this image because it really gives you as a developer a better understanding of who I am just by looking at a couple images. You know right here where I went to school, what I do, that I'm in a relationship, that I live in New York City, and also a little bit more about my personality just from the front. As we go further, we're going to look into this a little bit more and see how much more information is actually provided by Facebook and how you as a developer can better utilize it to build great experiences. So as we look into the thought of digital identities, it's important to analyze what single sign-on identity providers are out there in the market. As you'll see with this graphic, there's tons of them out there. Everyone from AOL and Yahoo to Facebook, Twitter, Google, and LinkedIn. Different businesses should use different ones, and we'll look at that because as we look at the trends, you'll see that Facebook and Google are the number 1 and 2 social login providers across the internet. But one of the things that's most interesting is that as you get into different types of experiences, B2B for example, you see LinkedIn is another really great opportunity, obviously because people use their LinkedIn as their business identity. And what I wanted to show here, and I think is very important for you to understand as a user, as a developer, is it's important to take the best identity for your product. As we look into the different types of data that's shared, you'll see that different identity providers come with different pieces of information. However, it's also important to realize that users use these identities differently. Why would we use this? Well, I think it's really important to understand that from a static registration form, you're only getting so much information. You're probably able to get some basic demographic information, birth date, location. But with social data, something like Facebook, you're able to get a tremendous amount of other information. As I mentioned earlier, let's take a look at my profile. So looking at my profile, you can see all of the things that I've liked, and this is just a subset. But from here, you're able to learn a lot about who I am as a person and as a user, and if you're able to smartly use this information, there's a tremendous opportunity for personalization here, in which you can serve me an experience that viscerally connects to who I am as a person, which may be different than someone else. So when you think about it, all of this information about who I am and my demographic information, such as my age, location, gender, relationship status, can all come in to paint a really great picture for you as a developer of understanding who your users is. For example, some interesting stats are that 67% more page views come from users that are logged in socially. So if you use a Facebook Connect module, you're going to be able to get and connect with users and create 67% more engagement than you would without it. Also, socially logged in users spend a lot more time. And this makes a lot of sense because not only can they engage with your product, but they can distribute it out to all of their friends. They can like an article, they could share an article, they could send an article to a friend. And I think that type of browsing and experience with friends is really another one of the benefits of single sign-on and using a social identity. Next, we're going to look at a little bit more of how the sign-in process actually works. So I chose Mashable as a really great proxy here because I think as a content brand, there's so many unique opportunities about personalization and super serving content. But really, everyone here has probably used single sign-on in some way, shape, or form. You'll see it usually starts with a sign-in button that has a Facebook, Twitter, Google, or LinkedIn icon, or any of the other providers that we showed before, and it asks you to single sign-on, which means you connect to the Facebook server, and on the Facebook network, you'll either log in that first time, or you're going to register and say that Mashable would like to connect with your Facebook profile and take all of these pieces of information. From there, Mashable will then tell you exactly what they're going to do and then reroute you back to their site. And once you're on that site, you'll notice that there is personalization already built in. Instead of having to create a username and password with that Mashable experience, now Mashable just dropped a piece of Facebook code in and was able to easily connect with you. So they don't have to worry about the forgotten password problem. They don't have to periodically collect more and more information. With this process, they're able to get all of the information they needed about you as a user and who you are so they can better show you content while allowing you to share from the site. Now, many developers don't know how to do this on their own, which is perfectly fine. There's tons of social login providers of choice that can really help you as a developer better understand your consumers with single sign-on. We've highlighted just a few here, such as Gigia and JonRain, which do large-scale social implementation for brands and apps, where they can not only tie the identity process to a social login provider, but they can then start to build in cycling where they can bring users back to your site. Additionally, if you just wanted to drop in a Facebook module yourself, Facebook's got the great developer tools, as does Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of the others that we mentioned. So just to recap, why would we use social login and single sign-on? Well, the number one most important reason is reduced login friction. It makes it much easier for you to connect to your users in a meaningful way and able to collect that data that you want to better understand your consumers with. Also, reducing forgotten password problems. There's a lot of issues around forgotten passwords where it's a huge burden on brands to have to continuously send their users their forgotten password over and over again. It also declines the engagement and removes the ability for users to easily connect across devices. Social network connectivity is another big opportunity where users can now directly share from your site to Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn. Another one that's very interesting going forward is cross-channel experiences. Using a single sign-on provider, you could have a user connect to an iPhone, iPad, or even smart TV via that login with Facebook button. Next is permission-based access to data. You ask users, and users share with you the information that you need to collect. And then all of this will tie into personalization, which we're going to look at in a couple weeks. So I want to say thank you for your little bit of time. I appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing the series with everyone here. Thank you very much.